So let's start it. Hello everyone, my name is Alexey. I'm a developer and trainer in a company called Cityco, and we're based in Riga, so Latvia. Oh yeah, it's Fernando coming here, great. So I'm based in Riga, Latvia, but we have a company sub-branch here in Minsk called CityDev, so maybe you've heard of them. So who I am and how do I earn for my living? So I'm organizer at GDG Riga, Google Development Group Riga, and also we host an annual conference called Riga Dev Day. So we try to gather all the cool speakers about various technology, mobile, web, Java, DevOps. So someone heard about Riga Dev Day? No? Yeah, Fernando. Okay, good. So what I'm going to talk today. So I've started my work with mobile technologies about 6 years ago with Android, so a long time ago. At that point of time, Android was very, very fresh. It didn't have all those fancy frameworks, all those fancy technologies that it has today. And today we'll talk a bit about how to optimize our mobile process. So this talk will not be specifically about Android, but more about whole mobile ecosystem. So Android, iOS, Windows Phone, I don't know, something else. And first of all, let's start with a questionnaire. So, who of you are an Android developer? Okay. Who of you are iOS developer? Okay. Who of you are Windows Phone developer? Okay, good, good. Who of you are a cross-platform developer? Hey. So, you see, we have a lot of different technologies connected to mobile. And for all this technology, we need an infrastructure. So let's talk about that. My talk will be divided into three chapters. First one is landscape overview. So what is the landscape for infrastructure for mobile? Second one is actual building stuff. So what do we need to improve our building? And third one will be small spicy recipes that could potentially help you in some way and solve some of your problems. Let's start. So, what is the first node in our landscape? It is our PC, right? Yeah, so we need a PC to start working. And you would expect that this would be really easy, but it's not. How can this be a problem? iOS development needs a Mac, right? It needs an Xcode. For Windows development, you need a Windows. Yeah? For Android, it's a bit easier. So, question is, how can we work on both Windows Phone applications and MacBook applications? That's a tricky one, right? So you cannot just have a MacBook and a Windows and work on two separate code branches. And this solution is just not right Windows Phone, right? Then you don't have any problems. But, okay, let's try to figure it out. So first, one of the options is to have MacBook with Parallels. Yeah? Who is using Parallels? Yeah? So basically what it is a cool emulation of Windows. So you can have not a dual boot, but simultaneously Windows environment on your MacBook. Second one is to have a Mac build agents, and then you're free to use Windows for your Windows Phone development. Who are using build servers, to build actual code? Yeah, and with build servers, it's a bit of a pain because you need to transfer your code to a build server. It will build it, send it again, and then you can deploy it via USB cable to your device. Not that efficient, right? So, okay, let's think that we will not develop Windows Phone applications right now, just to ease our pain a bit. Second point, we need a version control system. Here, not too much to comment, Git, and that's it, right? Next point. Continuous integration tool. So we publish our code to version control system, and then some system should take this code and automatically on each post submit, for example, run all our tests. We're writing tests, right? We have our automation tests, we have our unit tests, integration tests. We're using Robotium, I don't know, Roboelectric, any other frameworks. So here comes the tricky part. We need a continuous integration tool. And we have a lot of them on the market. Who is using Jenkins? Yeah? So Jenkins is the most popular tool right now on the market. The good thing is it's free, it's open source, it has a huge ton of plugins, so you can make whatever monstrosity you want from Jenkins. Yeah? Another good alternative is TeamCity. Who's using TeamCity? Yeah? So TeamCity is a product from JetBrains, from the same company that developed IntelliJ, helped Android Studio, etc. It also comes free for small businesses. For big businesses, you need to buy a subscription. But basically, TeamCity is already a tool with a lot of different plugins included. So with Jenkins, whatever setup you want to work with, either with mobile or Java applications or .NET applications, you need to install everything manually. Here, they have like this gentleman's nabor of all the plugins included. Yep. So next thing is Bamboo. Who are using Bamboo? Yeah. So Bamboo is overall okay continuous integration from Atlassian, but we all know that Atlassian has its pros and cons, like Jira. The good thing is, if you have Jira, Confluence, and all that stuff, Bamboo is pretty neatly integrated with that, with Stash as well. So you can reference your task from Jira, you can do code reviews in Crucible, etc., etc. So this could also be a good idea for you. And the interesting thing is Concourse. So who has heard about Concourse? Please raise your hand. That's the first topic that I will share to you, right? That you will know after the talk. So Concourse is shifting the idea of CI a bit. So in normal CI, what do we have? We have a project, we have build steps, build configuration. In Concourse, it's a bit different. Here, we can set up a relationship between build steps, build configurations. So where we can use this thing? Imagine we have a huge product application that has a Android application, watch application, Android Watch, Android Wear, Android TV application, and all this stuff. So we have a lot of different artifacts as an output. And having it in Jenkins or in TeamCity or in Bamboo, it would be a pain, because you have a lot of different small modules that are somehow connected. And if you have like 20 modules, in one of our projects we have 25 modules, with different relationships, and if you just publish one small code change in one of the items, in the sub-projects, you don't want to rebuild everything, right? Because 25 projects multiplied by 2 minutes or by 1 minute equals a lot of time. You can do it in parallel, but it would be not that efficient as well. So here, in Concourse, what you can do, you can set up what steps you want to do in parallel, what you want to do sequentially, and then just define all the deployments, like test cases, etc., etc. So I would encourage you to take a look if you have a big product with multiple artifacts. So, okay, let's take TeamCity, just for sake of my interest in it, so to say. Next, Universal Artifact Repository. So, already said that possibly we have a big product with a lot of dependencies, a lot of libraries, for example. If you're working as an outsourcing company, possibly you've developed some small tidbits of code that you want to reuse in one project or another. For example, PDF generation library, or, I don't know, integration with some kind of huge monstrosity system that your client uses. You need to store it somewhere, right? And each of the systems, so Android, iOS, has its own dependency management mechanisms. So in Android, you have Gradle, right? You can add dependencies, that's pretty easy, everyone knows it. In iOS, you have two options, either Cacao Pods or Cortege. So, and here comes the tricky part. So in Android, Gradle uses artifacts as like libraries. So what library could be in a Gradle? It's either a jar file, if it's a Java library, or it's an AR file, Android archive. And it's all compiled, it can contain sources, but you just need to take this small bit, put it into your application, in a class path, everything works. With iOS, it's a bit trickier. because CocoaPods and Carthage actually distribute source instead of compiled version. Why is this so? Because you have different architecture types. So you have x86 and Intel and other stuff. So here, you actually need to compile everything on your machine. So you say there is a dependency for library A, you download it, you compile it. Next, if you're developing for Windows 4 or Xamarin, by the way, who are Xamarin developer? Okay, so you use NuGet. NuGet is basically the same dependency management as in Gradle. You just have an artifact, you download it, it's compiled, everything good. And who are you developing React applications? Okay, Apache Cordova or PhoneGap? Okay, the same person. So here you have NPM, not package management, for downloading all the artifacts. You just also define what kind of artifact you need. It downloads the JavaScript file. JavaScript doesn't need to be compiled, so not a problem here. So if we're using vanilla setup, Gradle is downloading from Maven Central or Bintray. CocoaPods and Carthage is downloading from a GitHub. NuGet, I think there is some kind of NuGet repository that is not officially supported but mainly used. NPM, there's NPM registry. Who has heard about NPM Gate? Yeah? So not a long time ago, about a couple of months, there was a guy who had a library about 10 lines of code. And it was doing some kind of like LeftPad, it was named LeftPad. And a lot of different libraries, like React, I think, Ember.js and other big, huge libraries, had a dependency on that LeftPad library. And due to some reasons, that person deleted his library from NPM. And everything broke completely. Yeah? Everyone who was using NPM registry couldn't compile their application because one of the libraries were missing. It was deleted by the owners, right? Yes?
You are wrong because from maybe 2 months ago or 3 months ago, NPM restricted this.
Yes, I will talk about it. Yeah, so that was after that, when everything broke for a couple of days, creator of NPM introduced a new license exactly for that. So that person who owns some kind of libraries is not able to like delete them completely if someone references them, right? But the idea is that you have a lot of dependency here. If you're developing for all the platforms with different technologies, you need to support Maven Central, Gradle, Bintray, doesn't matter. You need to support this kind of thing, NuGet, NPM. You have a lot of potential problems. One of the things that can solve your setup is on-premise repository. So one of the biggest contenders, there's two right now, Artifactory and Nexus. My favorite is Artifactory. So who uses Artifactory on a daily basis? Okay, so this is a tool that allows you to have different repository artifact management systems inside of it. So Artifactory acts as a Gradle, as a Gradle repository, acts as a NuGet repository, acts as an NPM repository. You can connect to your Artifactory all of the outside world registries, and it will cache all the libraries that you downloaded through. So in this case, if someone gets broken in NPM or Maven Central isn't working, you have your own version with your own libraries that were cached from the main source, right? In addition, here you can publish your own libraries, and you can refer to them. So also, Artifactory supports Docker registry, Vagrant registry, Python X, Ruby gems, and also CocoaPods source code. Yeah? So this could be a center for your company to store all the libraries that you're using in your application. So if you have small projects that are used in different applications, you can store them here and reference them the same way you do with all the open source libraries. Next up, there is a Bintray. So Bintray, who has heard about Bintray? Bintray right now is used as a default repository for Gradle builds in Android. So if you create a Gradle project, you have Bintray. It's a G-Center or Bintray, I don't remember how it's written. But basically, right now, Google has shifted to Bintray in favor of Maven Central. And right now, all the Android SDKs that are created by Google are also uploaded to Bintray. All the support libraries are also in Bintray.
That's not true. That's not true.
No, some libraries.
Only some.
Only some. Yeah.
But not all.
Yeah, not all. Because there are some in Maven Central, but they got outdated about 3 or 2 years ago. They're not updating them in Maven Central.
No, there is Android SDK Manager, which
Yep.
holds all support libraries.
Yeah. So in Android SDK Manager, there is even a check mark to download Google repository, right? This is a specific Google repository with all the Android SDK. But here they're uploading some of the parts, so we can also check it out there. And this Bintray is also a Docker, an npm, Vagrant, Maven, NuGet repository. So you can use it for these systems. Next point. So if you see a GitHub library that is not uploaded to Maven Central, to Bintray, or to any other repository, there is a cool project called Jetpack, which allows you to specify dependency for GitHub project. Yeah? So we see that there is a GitHub user repo and some kind of tag, which is reference it and add an extra repository to Jetpack. It will automatically find this GitHub project, will download it, compile it, and serve it to you as an artifact. Yeah? So this could be a pretty lifesaver if you find some kind of library that you really, really need and you don't want to put it into your applications as just a jar file. Because putting jar files isn't that great. It pollutes your Git history, it makes it even bloater, so you need to download it, more megabytes, etc., etc. Yep. So we could have this own artifactory for storing all the artifacts. So next up, we have our application built. It takes some libraries out of the artifactory, run a user system, and then we need to actually publish our mobile app somewhere. Yeah? And if you're working with different vendors or in enterprise, there are cases where you're not allowed to publish or to use any cloud services. For example, with our financial clients, we're not able to use any cloud services and we need to have everything on premise. And this raises a problem, because if you cannot upload your application to Play Store or to App Store, you need to have some kind of solution. One of the solutions, a bit outdated but still, is Knapsack. So this is our own store, App Store, which you can set up. It supports Android, it supports iOS, it supports Windows Phone. It has tools connected to iOS certificates, so no problems there. And you can use Knapsack as a base distribution for your testers, for example. You do a post submit, you compile an app, you put it in Knapsack, everyone is using it inside. So this is how you can eliminate publishing to like test flight when they do a review of your application. It can possibly be declined, or you are publishing to Play Store and even to handle Play Store accounts there. So another alternative is VS02. So this is a bit bigger than Knapsack and still supported. Knapsack is about, I think it isn't supported for 2 years. So we have our own fork for Knapsack, which we're developing internally. VS02 comes with additional features, MDM features, so it supports device management. You can register devices here. You can handle the information. And we're right now looking into it and seeing if we can actually replace Knapsack with VS2. And the third solution is Mobile Iron. Who are using Mobile Iron? Okay, who knows about Mobile Iron? Okay, so what Mobile Iron is basically enterprise MDM platform. MDM is mobile device management. So here you can upload your applications, and you can manage and disable accounts on some devices. So our clients use Mobile Iron, and we need to integrate with that. And they're using it to provide a VPN access to their internal systems. So you use Mobile Iron SDK to actually connect to services, to backend services in the landscape. And yeah, so this could be also a solution for you if you need to have a private distribution for your applications. So next, if we're publishing our apps to public cloud, to App Store or to Play Store, we can use Fastlane, right? So Fastlane is a good tool. It allows you to configure uploading screenshots, metadata, apps. You can automatically publish your apps to Play Store, to App Store. It maintains your signing certificates, all this stuff. So next talk here will be about Fastlane. Vladimir will talk about it. So if you want to know a bit more about Fastlane and how it can improve your life, please stay here. Next, yeah. Also, there is Hockey App. Hockey App is a public cloud, a public app store, but the cool thing is it doesn't do any reviews. So about 2 years ago or 3 years ago, TestFlight, right now the most popular, like beta app store, was purchased by Apple, and they introduced review, the same as an app store. Hockey App right now is one of the good choices if you want to exclude your app review, because sometimes you can do pretty dirty hacks. You will get banned from App Store, but you still need to distribute to your clients your applications. So here could be a possible solution for you. Also, so we have everything in place. What can we else build upon this? Static analysis, right? So you have your application, you have your test cases that are being run in continuous integration, but no one actually cares about the quality of the code. So this static analysis tool, which will be here, will help us to analyze what is in your code that is not that great and what you can improve. And it can introduce a lot of different other metrics. And one of the most popular static analysis tools right now is SonarQube. Who are using SonarQube? So this is a huge, great tool for you that you always, everyone must check out. What it basically does, it has a lot of different plugins for different technologies, which you can enable. And inside these plugins, it has different rules. For example, for Java, it has a rule that throwing, like, I don't know, what is it? Like, that break statements are bad, yeah, for example. Or goto in Java are bad. And it checks your code and shows you places where you use it and suggests you to refactor that. Also, it can show potential memory leaks, for example, or variables are not used, methods that are not used and can be deleted. And those all simple static analysis things could be found by the Sonar. So for different platforms, for Java, for example, for C#, there are alternatives. For C#, there is a style cop. For Java, there is Findbox. There is a lot of different tools. But this basically is the one that is the nature of some all and has a lot of plugins. Okay, so we put a static analysis in place. We analyze our code, which is good. Our quality overall increased. It also shows us test coverage. And next point, what we can add to this is some kind of analytics. So it's set a bit apart of our main landscape because it isn't connected to our development tools, but it's also a crucial part for your application. So Fabric, who are using Fabric? Yeah. So so nothing else to add for Fabric. Fabric is great. It can do a lot of stuff. It can show you, it's integrated with Crash Analytics. It can show you crash reports. It can show you user counts, user statistics, usage of your bills, etc., etc. But again, if you're working with corporate clients, you cannot use public solutions. You cannot use Fabric. You cannot use Google Analytics. You need to think of something else. And for self-hosted options, there is Pivik. Who has heard about Pivik? Okay, so Pivik is quite popular in Java backend world. And basically, it's user analytic. So with, it gathers crash reports as well. It can gather crash reports. It has usage information of your services, and it's also available for web. So it's not mobile-oriented, but web-oriented. But also it can be used in mobile. Yeah? So you can see visits over time, you can get information about visitors from different agents they've accessed, from which countries, etc., etc. So this could be a thing if you're limited with clouds, with your client. Yeah? So that's about it for the landscape overview. And now, let's go to the second topic, about actual building stuff. So we know that we have all those items here. Possibly a lot of you have everything already in place, maybe excluding static analysis. So now, what we can improve upon this? So there is a big rule for all the developers, is that your application should be able to start with one command line invocation. So you should write Gradle v install debug or install prod. Everything should compile and be available. Who thinks that his application that he's working on can run with a single command line? Yeah? So why is this really important? This is important because when you have other colleagues joining you, you don't want to spend your time installing their environment. You just want to say to them, hey, here's a project, here's one command line, that's it. Everything else is already configured. So for mobile, it's a bit trickier. For Java world, it's a must-have because you just want to say, for example, I know, Maven Spring Run, your Spring application runs, or Maven Jetty Run, your Jetty application server runs, etc. So you should invest your time in making everything automatic. Yeah? And for all the platforms right now, what is the difficulty of this? Is that there are different tools used for different platforms. So for Android, it's Gradle. So when Gradle was introduced by Google to the Android system, it was really great. I was using Maven before that, but it was constantly failing because new version of Android SDK is released. Maven plugin crashes, nothing works. You need to try to debug it and try to reconfigure it. So now it's easy. Then for Mac, you have Xcode, so you can run your iOS application with Xcode command and build it. Then for Windows on Xamarin, it's MS-Build. You can use MS-Build for building everything from command line with one-liner. For React and PhoneGap, it's NPM, but it's NPM plus the platform of your choice. So NPM will only build your React part and PhoneGap, so you still will need either a Gradle or Xcode to actually build the whole wrapper. Yes? And you would like to have something that would rule them all, right? One technology for everything, because it's mobile, it should be united somehow. And I would propose using Gradle. Gradle is a great tool, and it's really flexible. So you can have any technology integrated with Gradle plugin. And a lot of technologies are already integrated in form of plugins and are stored on GitHub. And also, we have one. So we have open source Gradle mobile plugin that actually works with Xcode and Xamarin projects. And you can build Xcode projects and Xamarin projects from command line with Gradle. And yeah, so here how it looks. So we say that there is CDCO mobile plugin, Xcode. You then say what is SDK, what is the release configuration, and you have those build steps. Build iOS, restore dependencies, etc. The same with Xamarin. So you can have a solution file, you can have CS project file for your iOS part, for your Android part, you can configure it in Gradle, run it on continuous integration. So for continuous integration, one-liner, everything builds, and you can ship it. Also, when you have something common, you can actually play around with it and add additional stuff. One of the things is multi-profile builds. For example, if you have one product that should be packaged to different vendors, you need to somehow change small parts of it. You either need to have a core library that is used by two projects, and then each project has a continuous integration setup, and it produces an artifact. Or, for example, you can have one build that will be able to build different artifacts for different vendors. Also, if you're integrating with some backend services, usually you have dev environment, you have train environment, you have prod environment. They have different URLs. If there's an HTTPS, you need a certificate. If it's not a public certificate, and all this kind of stuff. If you have authentication, you also need a certificate. And you don't want to pollute your actual code with all those small tidbits that are needed only for one particular reason. And you can, like in Gradle, refactor it so there will be different tasks taking sources from different places. Also, in our particular case, we didn't like that we need to build source code of iOS each time we download an application. So for continuous integration, we need to build sources code for all the libraries. So we implemented our own dependency management here, and it is using zip files as an artifact. And you basically just put x86 compiled code into zip files, and you unzip it, and you're set. If you need multiple architectures, then you just create multiple zip files. So we can have Gradle as a glue, and then we can even build upon that. And here comes the fun part. So here are just brainstorming about different things that you can improve in your landscape. So first, who has problems with build tools, Android build tools, that when a new version is being updated, every team member needs to download their own SDK tools? Yeah? This sucks, right? So in new Android, in 2.20 build setup, build SDK, they introduce a new flag, which you can enable, and then Gradle will automatically download SDK. Yeah? So this was announced on Google I/O, and when this will be released, it will be super awesome. Because then you don't need to think about continuous integration build agents, that you need to constantly put new build configurations. Or you don't need to publish all the SDK platforms. Next, if you would like to have a test automation. So right now, for Android, there's one test automation frameworks. There's Robotium, there's Espresso, there's something else. For iOS, there's UI automation. We would like to have something one. And for this, there is a tool called Appium, which is also really cool. Who is using Appium? Yeah. So what Appium basically is a glue part that glues platform-specific UI automation to Selenium WebDriver API, So then you can write Selenium code in any language, because WebDriver has PHP client-side, Java client-side, JavaScript client, and with this client, you can actually invoke all the functionality on your device or emulator. There is a cool talk about Appium from the Appium, how it's called? The guy who built Appium from Riga Dev Day conference. So I've put a URL here, so you can get a hold of all the knowledge he's telling. And yeah, you could try to use it. So then you'll have one single code base for different kind of platforms. Next, so if you would like to have a cheap on-premise device farm, what to do? So we have our build agents, our CI in place. We would like to at least test on different localities and different screen sizes. So here comes the Genymotion, and Genymotion from about 1 year ago or 2 years ago has a Gradle plugin, which enables you to create devices, Android emulators, from command line. So you can specify what kind of templates you would like to use, what kind of image, what kind of Android SDK, API level screen size. Then with one command line, you can actually start it up. So this will enable you to run actual UI automation tests on emulators, not on devices. Yeah? So, cheap version of device farm.
Sorry.
Yeah?
So this line will actually download the image and will create the emulator?
Yes, but Genymotion emulator.
Yeah, I got it.
Mm-hmm.
Because it looks like a line that names the already existing emulator.
Mm-hmm.
I usually call the emulator in a command line, it looks like this, but if this line will also download, that's great.
To tell the truth, I don't remember if it downloads it or not, but this is the name of emulator image. Yes. So yeah, I need to check on that if it downloads it or not. Yep. Okay. So I have 5 minutes. I will try to do it quick. So also, who is tired of creating separate Retina and non-Retina images and different images for Android API? Yes. We can also think about it, and there is a cool tool called 9-patch resizer. You can provide one Retina image to it, and then define what kind of resolution do you want to have as an output. And it will automatically rescale everything. So this enables you to have one image of really big density, and then automatically resize it to all HDPIs, MDPIs, LDPIs, and even iOS. So you have one image for all the platforms. Next. We have problems when we have dev environment, train environment, prod environment, and they have the same application icons. This is a bit buggy for us, because testers want to understand what is a dev version, what is a prod version, etc. And there is also a great tool called Thumbnailer, Thumbnailator, I don't know how to pronounce it properly, which allows you to add watermarks and update your images with Java API. So you can say that for dev builds, you want to have your icon with dev on the bottom. Or for prod, you don't want to have anything here. Yeah? So you can also play around with it. Also, there is a great tool with localization. So Eventbrite has a setup for storing localizations and making it cross-platform. So it supports iOS string files, it supports Android string files, so check it out. And then you can also have a database of all the items that you need, and then compile it to specific platforms. So, all in all, here we have our landscape, and if we have one thing common for everything, doesn't matter if it's Gradle or MS Build or I don't know, Ant, we can play around with it and add additional sugar on top of our whole mobile infrastructure. So that's all from my side. Thank you. If you have any questions, I will be glad to answer them.